I can finally do something to entertain you again. So today we are going to be tackling the front and rear suspension, converting it to 5 lug, installing the brakes, installing some other goodies that I got, and last but not least, of course, with 5 lug conversion, you also need new wheels. So it's gonna be wheel reveal day today as well. I have already started taking off everything. So the stock S13 knuckles, the lower control arm, and the next thing we're gonna be taking off are those stock brackets, because we have got something as well. So this is a Nismo power brace. I've been waiting a long time for that. I got it from RHD Japan, and yeah, the delivery took quite some time. So that's the first thing we're gonna be installing. In order to install this, we have to take off this bracket first. So why would we upgrade this? I can show you some reason. This, you can see there is a kink in the metal, and this because there is no reinforcement on the bottom of it and you torque down here. So sometimes, after some time, this car is now 32 years old, the metal just gives in because of weaker structure over time. And yeah, better to have your suspension stuff straight than kinked, right? So we're gonna install this now. Let's try to fix this up here. We installed 3 out of 4 bolts back. The reason we did not install all 5 back is the 5th bolt that holds on the stabilizer bracket back here. So first we're gonna torque down the nut, so the stabilizer is up there. Let's see how we manage that. But I think it should fit right in. Yeah. Another reason we are doing the Nismo power brace was last time I tried installing the stabilizer, this one snapped off. As you can see, now that we've installed the power brace, we are going to lower the car down a bit. Because the next thing we are going to be doing is installing our lower control arms. And for that, to access those, it's better to have them at your chest height. Always watch out for your back. Good tip. As you can see, this is an S13. This is a Nismo lower control arm, but it's from an S14. You probably know why I use this. For everybody that just bought an S13 or just wants to learn more about those cars, this control arm is like 8 to 10 millimeters longer. So that means it pushes the wheel out on the bottom, so you have more negative camber, which is kind of nice if you're running wide wheels, because you can fit them into the top fender nicely. So that's that. We have to tighten this later, but we will wait with that, because the next thing we are gonna be installing is this tension rod. The tension rod is just dirty. It's the stock one. I've had it sandblasted and powder coated and put some energy suspension polyurethane bushings into it. So we're gonna be installing this one back. So this one, okay, nice. Sits nicely, and then, as you can see, this one is fed into that, and you use those 2 nuts from the bottom of the control arm to tighten the tension rod against the control arm. Always make sure you have a small and a big impact. The big impact for things that really need a lot of force to open, and the small impact for spaces the big impact cannot get to. That's a very good tip. The next thing we are going to be installing is the knuckle. And this knuckle is not an ordinary S13 knuckle, because S13 is 4 lug. There's also some conversion sets from 4 lug to 5 lug for stock knuckles, but I'm more of an OEM plus guy, so you know I had to get the S14 knuckles. Important thing when you're installing S14 knuckles, they take different bolts. So you have 2 options. You can take something to reduce the diameter of the holes. So you can install it on your remaining S13 suspension, or you can get S14 suspension and make it fit the S13. Or the other option is you can drill your S13 suspension out to bigger holes and fit some S14 bolts in there. But I went down this path. So to install this, simply put it in there, in your coilover, feed the bolt through, and it hangs in there. So as you can see with these tine, what are those street flag Cs? With those tine street flag Cs, the hole on top, it's actually drilled longer, not just a round hole. So you can set different camber values, as you can see. The next step is to push the ball joint of the lower control arm through your knuckle. So this nut is supposed to be a 19 millimeter, I think. And since I'm tightening this at the moment, just a heads up, if you order the Nismo lower control arms for the S14, just like I did, there's no nuts included, so make sure you don't destroy your old ones or order some new ones. I had some lying around from some spare ball joints, thank God. No, okay, I lied to you. It's a 22. It's a 22. And also, while I'm using this, always check your car up so the suspension is compressed when you tighten those bolts. Because if you just tighten them down, it might prematurely wear out your suspension bushings. So, I mean, some people say, yeah, that's just an old myth. The old mechanics will tell you. I don't know, I never tried tightening them without putting load on the suspension, so it's better to be safe than sorry. Am I right or am I right? The next thing you have to do is put in your tie rod end. The tie rod end is kind of sturdy if they are new, just like my tie rod ends. So best thing is also to push them up so they will just slip into place, like so. After loosening the tie rod end, because the S14 has wider track width than the S13, we extended it a little bit. Let's tighten it up real quick. Tight enough. So let's slip this one off. Now we can tighten the tie rod end a bit more so it's compressed. Not too much. So, as far as good. As you can see, stabilizer is on, tension rod is on, lower control arm is on, suspension is connected to knuckle, knuckle is connected to tie rod. So the next thing we have to do is put on the dust shield for the brake. Because, you know, the front you can also run it without the dust shield, but as far as my liking, I like OEM Plus style. So for my S14 knuckles, I got some S14 dust shields, new from the factory. That's the parts number if you want. So just to let you know, yeah, right. So now that I have put the dust shields onto the hub, and also, which we forgot to film, the wheel bearing. We are tightening it to make sure it's seated properly. We have to torque it later. And as you can see, no play, perfect. The thing is, if you buy an S14 knuckle, there's two kinds. The S13 Zenki has one similar with a locking washer than the S13, and the S14A shares the knuckle with the S15, and this one just has this nut, this kind of nut, and there's no locking washer, so don't wonder about that. I just solved the riddle for you that I spent hours on the internet solving. So yeah. Good. The next thing we are going to do is put on the brake disc and put on the brake caliper, and then the front is finished. Yeah. So brake disc. As you may or may not know, the S14 and the 300 ZX share the same front brake. So that's one of those calipers. Then we use the stock bolts. I know they may be a tad longer, like 4 or 5 millimeters longer, but we use those anyway. So we can put on the brake caliper, and as far as the brake caliper goes, I'll show you in a second. We are using Part Shop Max Europe's 300 ZX Z32 4 piston brakes in the front. Those. And now, with those, they are very simple to install. If you make sure to put them apart. Yeah. And now that this is sturdy, we are going to tighten it. Stock bolts are 17 mil. After mounting the Z32 calipers, we are gonna install some braided brake lines. So now we are going to move on to the rear side of the vehicle, which we had a lot more trouble with than in the front, because the first one on the left side, I finished it yesterday already. But on the rear side, we ran into some issues. But we're gonna start on this side now, and we are going to show you the whole process, which I did. So, the first thing we need is obviously on the rear. This is not optional. If you want to run Z32 calipers on the rear, you need either the stock dust shield and cut it apart, because the Z32 rear calipers discs are bigger diameter than the stock S13 ones, but the handbrake is the same, so you can take that. And this is a stock Z32 rear dust shield. It's plug and play. Put it here, then you feed the anchor bolt from the back through it, which we're going to show you in just a second. The only thing that's different is the anchor bolt is connected to the S13 rear dust shield via another bolt on the side, so the anchor bolt cannot spin. But if you want to make it 100% OEM plus, you could drill a hole in here and also take that, but we figured we don't need it, and we're just going to feed the anchor bolt through. So that's the first thing we have to do on the rear. So you feed the anchor bolt from the front to the back with the hole pointing towards the rear of the car, as far as I know. And then you do not knock on here, because you might damage this and you need this for your handbrake mechanism. So you just knock here and here until you have enough thread on the back so you can pull it through with the washer and with the nut. I'm gonna get my trusty old hammer and a block of wood so we don't damage this. And just start gently tapping it in. Make sure it's straight. Touch the back. Look if there's enough thread already. Feels like that. So we're gonna put on the washer this direction. And then we're gonna put on the nut. Hope it threads on well, because the nut got a little bit damaged when I had to get it out because it was stuck inside the hub. Not the hub, the knuckle. Yeah, so threads on nicely. After you've torqued this one down, which involves a lot of force, you can install the handbrake. To install the handbrake, you first need to feed through the handbrake cable, like so. Then you have to put it in here. And do not push the spring here yet, because that's easier if you first install the mechanism for the handbrake. You put the small nut for the cable on the backside, 12 mil. This nut does not hold any force, it's just on the dust shield to make sure the cable stays in place and does not knock around anywhere, scraping on the wheel or something stupid like that. We don't need that. So first you take this one out, you put this one in, then you fix it here, take this one, spin it, press it down, press it 90 degrees, it's there. Now you take the spring and put it behind here, so it's under pressure. So now this has to sit against here. Then you take the second handbrake shoe and this one. This one is faced to the front. Yeah, you put it in here. Put it against this one. Then you take the second spring screw. I don't know what this is called. Forgot the important part. So you push it in like this. Then you push it down and you spin it. You can also do it using a screwdriver, but I prefer to do it by hand because it's quicker. So this goes into here. Good. Now you have to push those apart. This works using that small piece. I just have to take a look. Yeah, okay. Put it in this way. Yeah. You later use this to set the handbrake, to push it out further or more inward so it doesn't scrape. So you put that in here. First spring installed. Good. Now you take the other two springs. The other two springs should be installed like this. But first we need the backing plate, which is down there. I think it's installed like this, if I'm not entirely wrong. But I'll take a look on the other side real quick. Then you put this one in here. Then you have to use your trusty screwdriver. I prefer using a screwdriver. There's special tools for handbrakes or drum brakes. I don't like those because I enjoy getting hit in the face by something like this. But yeah, let's put this spring aside. So we have both our hands for this one. And it's on there. So one done, one to go. Then we put this one on there. And first one, no luck, but let's see, maybe second try. Nope. But as they say, third time's the charm. You see? And I did not do that on purpose on the third try, so just I could say that. So, handbrake is installed. Everything is seated properly. So now it's time to put on the brake disc. Nah, not yet. We forgot something. We have to put on the hub and the wheel bearing first. Okay. So the next thing we are going to be installing is the wheel bearing with the hub already pressed in. Let's hope we can get it through here. But I think it should work because I got it out like this, so I should be able to get it in. Okay, now it's in. Okay, perfect. No, it's not. Now it's in. Now you go on this side again. Put on those bolts from the back because they hold it in against the knuckle, the rear knuckle. So one is enough to hold it. And then you take the remaining three, you put in all four of them from the back side. Now the last part of the rear setup, I'm not going to show you how I put in the bolts for the drive shaft here or the locking nut here because we're running out of time. So let's just bolt this up real quick and mount the wheels so you can see the finished result. So to conclude this video, those are my new wheels. Those are WRK T7R, one piece with 225, 35, 18 tire. The wheel is 8.5 wide, 18 inch, and has an ET, an offset of 30. And we're gonna put it up there real quick to see what it looks like. Let's hope it fits. But it should fit, no issue. That's gonna be some nice ass fitment, I think. Okay people, that's it for today. I showed you how to properly 5-lug swap an S13 with OEM parts. I also showed you my new wheels. So I think we're gonna conclude this video with some exterior shots once the car is lowered down from the lift. Yeah, that's about it for today. See you guys in the next episode of the S13 build. Like, subscribe, follow us on all our socials that are linked in the description. Peace out. Have a nice weekend, have a nice week. We don't know when this video will be uploaded exactly, so peace out.